Welcome, Witchers. This is the Witcher Lorecast, and this is your host, Tom or Robots. Welcome back to another episode. I am here, as usual, with my good buddy, my best frenemy in the world, Toasty. How you doing, Toasty?
Just Toasty today?
Just Toasty today. It's just a regular day.
A regular day as opposed to all the other days?
It's just, it's just one of those regular days in the neighborhood. In the Witcherhood. That's, I'm turning into Mr. Rogers.
The slums?
The slums, yes. Maybe that's it.
I feel like the Temple Quarter.
The Temple Quarter. Yeah, that's it.
Or Little Mahakam, whatever. Pronunciation is hard.
Well, welcome back. Man, it's been an interesting week. I've been getting over a cold. I wasn't able to do some of my other shows this week, but I think I'm on the mend. You can still kind of hear it in my voice. I'm slowly improving. I've rallied enough to do this episode because I didn't want to leave you hanging, and we've got some episodes to get through. So let's just get into it. We are talking about the 4th episode of season 2 of The Witcher on Netflix, and I think we're finally deep into the season. This feels like hey, things are really moving forward now kind of episode. What do you think?
Yes.
Toasty with his short answers. Yes. Well,
I have the shortest but most accurate answers.
Yes. Well, yeah. It's hard to argue with just a short answer. I mean, I guess it's easy to argue with a short answer and hard. I don't know. I'm just saying a lot of words. Why don't we get into more specific words about the episode? Where do we start this week?
All right. So we got two different locations. So we're just gonna this is gonna be like a location based split here for the episode. Just because of the argument, I'm wondering about possibly 3 locations. I don't really know. It's a weird thing. I'll talk about it when I get to it because It was bothering me while I was watching. But start off with the easy one with Kaer Morhen. So we're going to start at Kaer Morhen.
Sure.
So we got Geralt and Ciri doing some intense working out, running the trail. Geralt's giving us a little bit of I guess this is him talking to Ciri at some point about the trail, but it's just him telling us about the trail, which is kind of their training course. It's a very hard track to run through. Lots of, it's very difficult and very it's going to build your stamina, your speed, whatever. It's not an easy path to run. Mm-hmm. So, we see that Geralt's kind of crouching through the bushes. Ciri's hiding behind a tree. It seems like something weird's going on, but it's not. And Ciri kind of runs out from behind the tree, trips, falls, cuts her face on the ground or on a rock or something, and just starts bleeding into the snow. And that's when Triss shows up. Triss.
Yeah.
We talked about her in the last episode.
Yeah. Didn't she magically just kind of appear on a path in another episode last season?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But they got portals. They can just do whatever.
It's kind of her thing. She just kind of appears out in the middle of, somewhere. Yeah.
So she shows up. She's surprised to see that Ciri's a girl. Well, I would be too. And they kind of meet each other for the first time. Triss heals her face, the cut that she had. Geralt comes from around the corner, finds out what the weird thing that was going on was. He was just hunting for dinner. So he got himself a boar with, I think, just a knife, which is just kind of a big flex.
Right. Yeah.
We're over here dying in The Witcher 3 trying to kill off a pack of wolves with our sword. And he's over here I got this boar with my knife. Cool, right? So they all walk back. We skip to dinner time where they're all kind of eating together. Ciri lets a little bit slip about her herbs and mushrooms that she's supposed to be taking. And everyone's kind of You must have hit your head real hard or something. That we're not feeding you mushrooms in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. It was a very strange interaction. Which I guess an explanation for people who didn't really pick up on it. The herbs and mushrooms are kind of like the starting process for like the transforming people into witchers. So before they do any of the mutagens, they feed them a special diet of herbs and mushrooms that has a bit of an effect on their physiology.
It's like gearing them up for the bigger treatment. It's kind of
pretty much,
helping them acclimate slowly.
Mm-hmm. And so, everyone's all like hush hush about it. They tell Ciri it's time to go to bed. She goes off. We kind of get the story of before that, we get the story, them telling her how Triss and Geralt met. Then she goes off for bed. And Geralt's invited Triss to help Ciri because she's been having a little bit of like issues with her unusual signs of chaos usage, because she's not using typical stuff.
Yeah, he's still trying to feel it out. He's still not really sure what's going on, but he's going, this is beyond what I understand. I need somebody who knows more about this than I do.
Yeah, and it's like they've specifically said that she's not showing the typical signs of chaos. She can't use magic. She can't even do signs, which are like inferior versions of magic. But she has visions, like prophetic visions of the future, which is highly unusual. Then he takes her into the lab, and they shows her the weird insect monster that he killed that was going after Ciri. And just kind of questioning about, did a mage create it and send it? Because it's not a monster I've seen before at all. Mm-hmm. So they do a little bit of a test to see. I'm getting a notification just popped up on my screen. That's cool.
Distractions. This is kind of a callback to the Nightmare of the Wolf.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because weird mutated monsters.
Right. Right.
And so they do a little bit of test. She's like using magic to determine if a mage has put their kind of signature on this at all. We also hear a little bit of a tiny little lore drop where she says that the process of making monsters has been outlawed for centuries. And it's like, okay, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Maybe since the events of the Nightmare of the Wolf.
I think that was less than a century ago.
Or before that. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah.
Probably before. I think it has been since before that. The Witchers were not following those rules either. Yeah. Obviously, we see what happens. The Nightmare of the Wolf is a good example of what happens when you try to mess with monsters.
This is why this has been outlawed. Don't do this.
Yeah, don't do it. So they kind of talk about the aftermath of the Battle of Sodden. Geralt doesn't really want to talk about it because he's sad because Yennefer's dead. Well, he thinks Yennefer's dead. Triss starts going through that list of names. If Geralt had let her go through all the names, he would have figured out that Yennefer's not fucking dead.
Right. Right.
But he was like, nah, don't finish that. I'm sad. Triss tries to make a move on him so that they don't spend the night alone. And Geralt turns it down.
Right. Now this... we've talked about things that diverge from the books and how this season especially is divergent from the books. But
I would argue that this is the most egregious change that they made.
Right. So
everyone's gonna be like, what? What are you talking about? Geralt, he has sex with anything that moves.
Right.
That's female.
Right. But Triss, on the other hand, definitely goes after him in the books, right?
Yes.
Like this is very normal for the books on Triss's part. This is very atypical compared to the books on Geralt's part.
Because he says no, and in the books, there's no point he says no. By this point in the book, they've already had sex before.
Yeah.
So,
although there's a little bit of that, like, how do you know each other? Have you kind of like, there's a little bit of that suspicion thing going on in the conversation from earlier.
This episode has probably the most examples of weird sexual tension that'll never be reciprocated.
Yeah, there's some like, makes you wonder, especially for anybody who's read the books, makes you go, are they alluding to things that never made it into the show? Yeah, there's some of that. So
Geralt turns her down. Then the next morning, we get Ciri. She kind of comes into breakfast. She's all like dolled up, got a flower in her hair, wearing like nicer clothes. It's obvious that like her being around another woman is starting to kind of like bring out her feminine side, or at least her thoughts of like her feminine side,
or has made her feel more comfortable being that way. Like, oh, there's another woman here. I don't have to feel like I need to be so much like one of the guys. I can be a little bit more like myself.
And well, she gets bullied by Lambert,
of course, because Lambert's a jerk.
Lambert's an ass.
Yeah.
So she kind of runs off, and then Triss just steps up and just straight up goes in on them. This is very true to the books, this part, and I love it because not only is she telling them that they're all being jerks for making fun of her because, you know, she is a girl and she's allowed to be a girl
and a child These are grown men, not only grown men, but like older than regular grown men because they don't age the same way as regular men, who are making fun of a female child in a situation that is very uncomfortable for her. You know, they should be a little bit more careful here.
Yeah. And then she also calls out the fact that she totally picked up on the fact that they're feeding her Witcher herbs and mushrooms, which are probably changing her physiology for the worse. And also pointing out the fact that none of these dudes has any idea how to take care of a girl.
Like any of the female things they haven't even addressed. She must be feeling super uncomfortable. Yes.
Yeah. And it does differ a tiny bit because basically, like in the book, Ciri doesn't really understand how to like handle any of this stuff for herself. And she talks to Triss about it. Including a very hush whispered conversation about, female processes. Yeah. And she's obviously very embarrassed about it in the book. And Triss goes off because she's so mad because none of them have thought about it. So, so they're all kind of figuring out like, oh yeah, one, we're jerks. Two, we have no idea what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. None of them. I mean, none of them were even raised in normal families to have seen somebody mother a young girl. You know, like they don't even have examples of what this should even be like.
So Ciri and Triss are kind of hanging out in the lab, looking over the tests that they did. They had to wait for the test until morning to figure out the results. And they're talking. Geralt comes in, brings her a little bit of breakfast, being good old Daddy Geralt. How kind. And Ciri makes a very good point. Probably one of the strongest lines in the show, when she says, "Yeah, my grandmother went to battle and wore a dress," and it was like, hey, remember Calanthe? Yeah, she was a pretty badass, right? So, good point, Ciri. This is definitely fair. So,
right. And I like that she brought it up too. Like she kind of was like, wait a minute, my grandmother did this.
My grandmother came into the feast. Well, she wasn't alive yet for that point, but when she comes into the feast in that one episode, covered in blood and guts in her battle armor,
right,
and then immediately gets dolled up and in a dress after,
right, because there's some big old thing she has to go to with, like, you know, heads of state and whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Calanthe's cool. I hold true to that at all points. So we find out the results of the tests come negative. Mage did not make this monster, but they find a mineral that is very indicative of the monoliths. Those monoliths that Istrid's been hammering in at the most inappropriate of times. Oh, they're actually relevant, guys. So they find that out. And that's from the weird insect monster. They go and dig into the Leshy and find out that it too has the same like mineral on it. And they ask Ciri, because she looks a little suspicious about things for some reason, she says that she saw a monolith topple over, and then she touches a bit of the dust and goes into a vision, which it doesn't show anything in particular, but this is basically a vision of the Deathless Mother telling us what's up, though the flashes of red at the end is very much confirmed that. Then she wakes up, tells them what actually happened about her weird screaming power and how she was the one that knocked it over. And they figure out that they need to look into this because something weird's going on. So Triss tells Geralt about Istrid and sends him off, but not before a quick discussion about how his pain made her feel alive again. And it was like, that's so weird. If you're trying to get in this dude's pants, it's probably not the best method. Like, oh, you know how you're suffering and miserable? Well, that is what got me going, by the way.
Yeah. I can identify with that. Thanks.
Okay.
Cool.
Sure.
Great.
So then she teleports Geralt to Istrid.
Yeah, which is a fun little scene in and of itself.
Fun little scene. We will talk about that one in the next episode where they basically show it all over again.
They kind of resolve that. Yep. All right. So then we have the whole Oxenfurt side of this, right?
Yes, Oxenfurt. Weird stuff. It's weird stuff. So this is the part where I'm gonna say this first because I separated it out a little bit of another thing because I guess that they did the whole Dijkstra part in Oxenfurt. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing for that. If they're just like, if King Vizimir was just in Oxenfurt for the time or whatnot. I assumed he was, in the capital of Redania in Tredegor.
They're not very clear about that, are they?
Yeah, but it is a weird thing where kind of a character in the Dijkstra part gets crossed over into Oxenfurt. So it's a little weird. I'm just going to assume that they're still separate, and we're going to talk about Oxenfurt now. So we see the elves are being rounded up, put into chains and being kind of let out. It doesn't go into too much of the detail here. I'm assuming this is just very much like what was it after Pearl Harbor? The unfortunate events where they're like
the concentration camps and all the in the U.S. where the people of Asian descent.
Yeah, they rounded up all the Asians and threw them into camps. This is kind of the same
because they didn't trust here. They didn't want anybody who still had some sort of connections to do something, and so they rounded up everybody who was actual legitimate Americans and put them into camps. Yeah, which is absolutely terrible. Yeah,
and they definitely pull on our strings a little bit, making us think that maybe some of the guards are, sympathetic to the elves' plight, but they're not. They're just all assholes.
Right.
So it's real unfortunate. Yennefer and Kair are now here, and they're trying to figure out a way to get to Cintra. Yin tells Kair about how Fringilla is the one who's like bringing the elves to Cintra, to which he didn't know that. He's very surprised. She hits him with the line of like, see how unimportant you are when you're not there. It's like, okay, relax, Yennefer.
This is definitely a what is this called? A something by necessity. What is it? A friendship by necessity. There's a phrase for that.
Alliance by necessity.
Alliance by necessity. There's a phrase for it. I forget what the phrase is.
I don't know the phrase, unfortunately.
But they clearly are only working together because they need each other right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We skip to nighttime. They're looking for a place to stay for the night, and they're going to see about getting a ship out the following morning. Before they can find somewhere, a guard recognizes them and attacks them. Yennefer knocks them out. They escape into the sewer to hide, and they encounter some elves in the sewer who threaten them at knife point. And here's a really cool thing. There's actually like, and I'll probably go into it a bit more in the second half, but an actual ALS representation here, which was cool.
Yeah.
So then, they convince them that they're not their enemies. They figure out the elves are like, oh, y'all are the ones on the wanted poster. Okay, well, you're not.
Well, you're wanted
bad.
Too, so okay.
Yeah, so we could probably work together, right?
Right.
They tell them about the Sunpiper who helps get elves to Sintra, and the deaf elf seems to be crushing real hard on Yennefer. And she hits him with the line of men remain simple, luckily. And I was like, damn, she's just roasting everyone this time.
Yes.
So we get a bit of a tease of some weird sewer monster, probably a Zoigl, if I had to guess. If I had to guess, they're the ones that like to live in sewers and compost heaps, and they have tentacles. So there's probably a Zoigl. They are walking through this the sewers. We find out the North seems to think that all elves are sleeper agents for Nilfgaard, and that's why they're rounding them up.
Yeah, which ties directly into the whole reference you made earlier.
Yeah, and we get a very sad incident here, where the deaf elf gives us a bit of an insight into what his plans for the future are, for his very happy future, and what he wants of it. And he immediately gets taken by the Zoigl,
of course,
and is killed. And it's like,
and his buddy just does nothing.
His buddy just runs. He's too scared. He runs away.
He's just like, and then just runs up. Yeah, he's just like useless.
Argument can be made that they did a better job getting us attached to this guy than they did to Eskel before they killed him.
Yeah, true.
Because I definitely felt more for the elf than I did for Eskel.
Yeah. I mean, he's the reason why they didn't, attack them, was because he was the one that was compassionate.
Yeah. So Yennefer and Kair try to save him. They don't succeed. The Zoigl tries to take Yennefer. Kair succeeds in getting it off of her. They run, get back up onto the street. Yennefer kind of has a bit of a breakdown where she talks about all the things she had that she's lost. So she's kind of losing it. Kair tells her how incredible she was at the Battle of Sodden with the fire. We get that weird sexual tension there. That nothing is going to come of that. It was just like, wait, okay, no, we're fine. We're good. I appreciate them not doing that. That would have been real awkward.
Yeah.
Then he kind of puts the pieces together, finds out she lost her magic because of the fire. And he kind of goes off about like, it's fine. Everyone has their purpose. And I am still trying to kind of achieve mine. It's obvious he's a zealot for the cause of Nilfgaard. And he even makes the claim that Fringilla is also very loyal to, or very faithful to the cause. and Yennefer tries to tell him that she was like Fringilla was trained in Aretuza, where they're all trained how to be like basically manipulate their way through the political field, and that it's probably all her just faking.
Right.
So they kind of have a bit of a disagreement there.
Trying to sow some
Neither
doubts.
one of them really agrees with the other person.
Right.
They just end up believing it because they see the elf guy that ran away, and they're like, "Hey, get back here, you jerk! You left your friend to die."
Right.
And they follow him into a tavern. And what do we find in this said tavern, Tom?
Puss in Boots. This is so okay. So Jaskier in a hat was, and this is something that they actually discussed on one of the recaps somewhere. The hat and the outfit that he's wearing was influenced by Puss in Boots from DreamWorks, from the Shrek version of him. Go look it up. The hat and the coat.
I can see the hat, but
the coat.
Puss in Boots doesn't wear a coat.
Yeah, he does.
He wears a belt and boots and a hat. That's all he's got.
I think there's a coat in like one of the instances where he's like in like the show where he's by himself, or there's some moment where he dresses up in a coat.
He's like a cloak at one point,
or a
when he's
cloak
hiding
or something.
his identity.
But anyway, that especially the hat is influenced by Puss in Boots. Absolutely, like 100%.
All right, then.
It's true. It's true. As much as you might hate it, it's absolutely true.
I definitely hate it.
Yeah.
I definitely hate it. I can promise you that I, in fact,
yeah. Well, he
hate it
takes off the
greatly.
hat pretty quickly, and but yeah, we get Jaskier. Jaskier's back.
Jaskier's back, and he's in a hat. We're very excited, and he's singing a new song.
Mm-hmm.
And what is this song about?
Oh, it's about his hatred of his old friend.
Yes.
I love this song. I love this performance. I love everything about this scene.
So this is something, and I guess we'll talk about it because it actually happens here, but I got to talk about it now. I don't understand why he gets so much shit for his singing. Because like
his singing
the
is
tunes
great.
Are incredibly catchy.
Yeah.
And he knows how to sing. I don't understand.
Dude's voice, especially in this song. Like there's a moment where like he hits a note, like one of the higher notes, and then he goes like half an octave above that. And I was just like, holy, this dude's voice is great. Like, I don't know what, like people are just mean. Like, dude can sing. Like
he's very good. He's very good.
He's very, very good.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's singing about his hatred of Geralt. He's telling Geralt to burn. But at the very end, he gets very like emotional at the last part of it. And it's obvious that like he may be singing this way, but he's still very sad about the way things ended with Geralt.
Right.
So very good performance on his part. Yen's actually happy to see him. And the next morning she goes to visit him. And they kind of have this reunited moment. They've always had an antagonistic relationship, but Yennefer actually like just rushes in and hugs him because she's happy to just see any aspect of something that she knows.
Yeah.
Even if it's this jerk that's insulted her the entire relationship that they've had.
Right. Because he represents safety. She knows that they may not like each other, but he's not going to turn her in. They're not going to betray each other either. Like, he is the safest, most friendly face she's seen in a long time.
And what do you know? He's also the Sunpiper.
Yeah.
The person that they were looking for to get a passage on to Sintra. That's him. So he agrees, tells them that they need to take a bath first because they smell awful.
Yeah, because they've been in the sewer. Yeah. And I almost got pulled down into the drain with the whatever that monster thing is.
The Zoigle.
Zoigle.
I'm going to assume it's a Zoigle based on my knowledge.
It's either that or whatever was in the trash compactor room of the Star Destroyer.
That could also have been a Zoigle, to be honest.
Death Star? Yeah, it's probably the same thing.
They definitely like trash compost.
Yeah.
So who knows? Anyways, Jaskier tries to, I guess, distract the captain and get him on the boat. Captain's like, I need to see your papers.
Oh man.
Jaskier sings a little bit, finds out that he is the Jaskier. The captain's daughter is a big fan, or niece. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's got some female younger person that he cares for that is a big fan. But then he just, as things seem like they're all well and good and Jaskier is about to step onto the boat, the captain starts criticizing his music.
Oh, man.
And Jaskier's like, am I going to say it? I'm going to say it. Yeah. They get to this huge fight. Jaskier just can't leave it alone, unfortunately, and ends up the elf guy who abandoned his friend ends up sacrificing himself to distract the captain and his crew, so that the rest of the everyone else can get onto the boat. It's very sad, but you know, he kind of got a little bit of a redemption there, which is nice.
That is nice.
And then I put this under the wrong thing for some reason. I guess I was just typing, and so we're gonna go back to.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I was like, wait a minute, when did Vesemir get in Oxenfurt?
Sorry, yeah, my bad. So
back in Kaer Morhen,
Vesemir is walking the trail. And I think he kind of picks up on the scent of Ciri's blood. I think he like smells it. Oh,
yeah. You think he's actually smelling it there?
Probably is what I would assume, because he definitely picks up on it. He runs out. He finds this very pretty purple flower where Ciri like cut herself. You can even see that her blood's still spattered in the snow there. Mm-hmm. So it's like that plant wasn't there before, which is weird. Also, this is the if you know moment, because during this part when he's looking up, if you have the subtitles on, the subtitles specifically say "wind is howling," and when I first noticed that, I was losing it because this is amazing. This is amazing. But they're making Easter eggs in the subtitles. People, come on.
Yeah. So if you haven't played The Witcher 3, this is one of those things that Geralt says all the time. Wind is howling. Like
wind's howling.
It's just one of those like phrases that comes up over and over and over in the games.
Anytime the wind picks up in game, which is a lot, Geralt's like, wind's howling. Yeah. So it's great. I was laughing. I laughed for like a solid 5 minutes when I first saw that.
That's funny. That's funny.
So he kind of rushes in with this plant to Triss and says, he says, Geralt tells me that you know every the plants on the continent better than anyone else, which is like, oh, okay, cool. So it's an interesting little tidbit about Triss, is that she really likes the plants and stuff.
Well, and you mentioned it in last season's stuff that they were setting her up in last season to be more of a plant kind of focused mage.
Yeah. So she's also in the Battle of Sodden. She generated those mushrooms that poisoned all the Nilfgaardians, and then she had kind of
the vines.
She did the vines and stuff to block the gate. So yeah, she's definitely kind of like a nature magic, like druidy type now. But yeah, and so he's like, all right, what is this? And she's like, this is Fainwed, and it only grows where elder blood has been spilt.
Dun, dun, dun. And then we go back to Jaskier and Yen.
But yeah, but
back in Oxenfurt. But okay, sorry. Go ahead.
First little thing, Vesemir reveals that elder blood was used to make Witcher mutagens, and that because there hasn't been any elder blood, they haven't been able to make any. So she's the key to making more Witchers. Dun dun dun. Again, dun, dun, dun. But yeah, and then we're back to Jaskier and Yennefer. They're all in the hull of the boat. They kind of have like a little bit of a bonding moment again, where, you know, he kind of picks up on Yennefer's, like, I guess, emptiness here. And he's, you know, tells her, like, I normally would be an asshole about this, but I understand, because if I was ever to not be able to make music anymore, like if the Muses decided to stop inspiring him, he would feel empty too. So they actually kind of have this nice bonding moment. Jaskier leaves, and we hear kind of a shout here. And we hear like the crashing of his loot. It like breaks. She hops up on board of the deck and she just sees his loot broken in the street,
which sucks because that was a nice loot.
It was a nice loot.
That was the one. That was the one that he got from Elf Dude.
Phil Evangel.
Phil Evangel. Yeah.
Yep. So, it sucks. And so it seems like he's been abducted, and that's where the episode ended. Mm-hmm. But there's a little bit more that we could talk about, which could be also an Oxenfurt, but I put it as Tradagor because I assumed the king would be in the capital of his country.
So why don't we pause, since this part's got a little bit long, and do the mid break, and then come back and do that, and then wrap up our impressions of the episode. Kind of dig a little bit deeper into stuff. So now's a good time for that. So hold on. We'll get back to this in just a moment.
Very well. Let us get this over with. Something has infested my vineyard.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let me go prepare my something oil then.
All right. So here we are in the middle of the show. I'll try to get through this quickly because we've got a lot more stuff to talk about. We do have a brand new patron, Mule Right. Thank you for signing up. This is our 12th patron, or at least we currently have 12 patrons. Some come, some go, but 12 currently right now. Thank you everybody for helping to support the show. And a reminder, we're getting up to that last week of the month. And this coming week, it'll be actually exactly on the last day. Next week is the 31st. So Monday the 31st is our patron episode. And
but it's not.
Oh, but it's not because
we have a bit of a thing here. So
yeah, that's right. Things are changing.
I got some personal business coming up. I won't get into it, but I'm not going to be available for the next 2 weeks. To our normal schedule, and I will not be here next Monday. So we're gonna push
bumping it up early.
Yeah, we're putting it on early. Sunday day before
night, the 30th.
Yeah, because I guess this is going to be in this time. The real question is what are we doing? Because this would also be the Cyberpunk patron episode.
That's true. This will be doubled up. So
we're going to do it before that time, because that would also be Mass Effect patron episode.
No, so Mass Effect goes after. Mass Effect is 10:30. Cyberpunk's at 9.
We would have to do this before the Cyberpunk. So
maybe we do it at 7:30. 7:30. No, yeah, 7:30 to 7:38 to 9, 9, 10, 10:30. Yeah, so we could do 7:30.
7:30 Eastern,
Sunday,
4:30 Pacific.
4:30 Pacific. If that works for everybody. Usually Sunday afternoons are pretty chill, so that's why that tends to work for people.
And then we will still have the normal episode the following week, but we just won't be able to do the live show. We're going to have to pre-record it, and it will get posted when it normally does
on the audio feeds. So if you're somebody who watches these on the YouTube, then you may not actually see a video version of that episode. So go listen to the audio version. It's available everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those places. So
sorry, but it's a very unavoidable personal business that I got to take care of. So.
Yeah, he's got to go hunt some monsters or something. I don't know. But so come join us if you are a patron. Sunday night, 7:30. I'll be doing 3 shows in a row. It's going to be an exciting night.
Be very interesting night.
I better be feeling better by a week from today. 6 days from today. But yeah, so you still have some time to sign up if you're interested in joining us. We will be, I don't know what our topic will be this month. We're just going to have to discuss that. So patrons.
Yeah, I guess we're going to have to discuss that. Get in the Discord. Tell us what you want to talk about.
Throw out some ideas. We'd love to discuss any of the topics that you guys throw out there. Man, we could discuss all sorts of things. There's so many things we could discuss. Mm-hmm. We could delve deeper into a specific topic, monsters, the games, the books, the lore, the show, any of the things that you guys want to discuss more about, we could dig into it. So, and also if you aren't already a patron and you'd like to sign up, you got time to do it, and you got time to jump into the Discord and let us know what you want to talk about. So you got time to chime in about that as well. And so, thank you to everybody who helped support the show. We also have, I'm not going to do my regular spiel because I want to kind of hurry through this, but please check out patreon.com/Witcher Lorecast if you're interested. And even at the lowest tiers, you get ad-free episodes. And it also helps support this and helps to make this be a regular thing that Toasty and I do. And we really do appreciate all of our patrons. You guys really do help us out. So thank you so much. We also appreciate the reviews that we get on Apple Podcasts, including the 3 new ones we got, which are 2 5-star reviews and 1 3-star review. And I'm going to start with the 3-star review because these are always fun. I don't read out. Well, we rarely get a review that's not. I'm going to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. We rarely get a review that's not 5 stars.
We've had one other 3-star rating. There was no review along with it. Someone just gave us a 3-star rating.
So it happens, and people have their opinions, and that's totally fine. But I thought I'd read this one out just to.
This one's a funny one, isn't it?
just to kind of highlight it a little bit. 3 stars from Zev Kai in the United States. Great for a few episodes. Lots of lore and hard work done. Wonderful. But the host, this guy, I think they're talking about me. It's always
you, Tom.
It's always me.
It's always
me. Tends to trail off into the weeds, trying to be funny. Would have been okay here and there, but after a while, it gets annoying. I guess I'm trying too hard to be funny, Toasty. It's just not. It just doesn't come out naturally, I guess.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, Tom. If it makes you feel better, we got about almost 50 other people that seem to disagree with this statement, well as an average of 120-ish 5-star ratings on Spotify that probably disagree with this as well.
Yeah, it's totally fine. My feelings are not hurt. I'm totally. One of the things I've learned over the years is that humor is a very subjective thing. So
that's true. I don't find Tom funny, but I just let him do it anyway. So
he does. He just pretends to have.
He let me do this show with him, heart. So I feel like a little bit of an obligation there.
He pretends to. He tries to be a hard ass, but he's really a softie inside.
Yeah, sure.
So then we've got 2 others.
I'm like Geralt. I come off as a hard ass, but I'm a big softie.
Yeah, that's totally true. It's totally what it is.
So, yeah. So,
yes.
Thank you for your 3-star review. Sorry you don't find Tom funny. Understandable.
I'm just a tryhard, I guess. All right, so let's read the other ones because we got to get back to the rest of the show. Another one came from Pooley in Great Britain. Thanks. Hello across the pond. This one says, just amazing, 5 stars. This podcast is exactly what I've been looking for to help me delve deeper into the world of The Witcher. Having played the game multiple times and read the books and now just finishing the show, I was looking for something else to help me understand more of the lore and backstories of the characters and monsters, and this podcast does just that. It's fun and informative, and you guys make me laugh with the constant back and forth banter, which helps me get through the day. I really enjoyed the bestiary episodes and hope there may be more of those episodes in the future. Keep up the awesome work. Oh, absolutely, dude. We definitely have to get back to the bestiary stuff.
Once we get through these recaps, I think.
Once we get through the recaps,
put those. We'll spoil everyone, and we'll do 2 episodes a month of bestiary stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
And we're this is the 4th of the 2nd season, so
we're halfway through
season 2.
Not much longer. So
another month we'll be through them all. So don't worry. And thank you so much, Pooley. This is a great review. Thank you so much for all the details in this. Very, very, very kind of you.
I guess it's the banter. It's not you trying to be funny. It's just the banter that people find funny.
I think that's the same thing that they don't like, is they think that my side of the banter is just not. Anyway, the other review says is from Jay Hippity Hop in the United States, who writes, "Great show." Yeah, it's a good name. I'm still trying to get caught up on the podcast, but I have loved it so far. Tons of knowledge between the two. They really love the content and make learning about the continent fun and entertaining. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for that. That's a hard way to. Good job reading that. I would have not switched from content to continent that quickly.
Ooh. Well, you're welcome. Well, thanks, and you're welcome. But yeah, thank you to everybody who takes the time to leave the reviews, and especially those of you who also do it on Spotify and scroll all the way up the thing and hit the little button. And we still have that goal, wasn't it? 250.
250. If we get 250
5-star reviews.
We can't judge exactly which ones. I'm just going to do 250 people that are rating us.
ratings.
Most of y'all seem to be 5 stars, though. We're sitting at like a 4.9. I'm assuming there's like one person in there. So, yeah. So most of them are. We can't really see the different ones like we can on Apple, but it doesn't matter. Just any of y'all taking the time to go, leave us a rating on Spotify is just really helpful anyway. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll get your hair white one of these days, Toasty. All right, let's move on with the show.
You smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Right, yeah.
All right, so last little bit we've got to cover before we can go into a little bit further breakdown.
Yeah. So this part, the Tranagor stuff, that could be Oxenfurt, but I'm gonna continue to be a hard ass on this one. So we finally meet Dijkstra for the first time.
Yes.
Which some people have been probably awaiting that for a while. We got Dijkstra. It seems like King Vizimir is meeting with his with some advisors or something. They're trying to serve him a drink. They're talking about, this is the funniest thing ever, because they're talking about the possibility of assassination from anywhere.
Yes.
And we find out as Dijkstra throws a knife into this woman's throat and then tells the dude to drink what they were about to serve the king, and it turns out to be poison and he dies. So they were talking about assassination attempts on the king while trying to assassinate the king.
Right.
Which is just great.
It just shows how much of a badass Dijkstra is.
He just shows up. He looks like... He's got, I would probably argue that he has like the most swag out of anyone.
Dude, the casting
that we've seen so far.
The casting on Dijkstra is perfect.
Oh yeah, for sure. So,
and the way Vesemir in this episode and the other episodes is just like a total like infant tool bag.
He's what's the term? Foppish?
Yeah, he's so foppish, but he's also just has no clue about anything. He doesn't care. He's just like somebody who inherited the throne and has just like he would not be alive and would not be successful if it wasn't for the competency of the people around him, Yes. He's just one of those people.
Yes. And or the competency of Dijkstra specifically.
Yeah. And has no sense of it. No clue. Yeah.
This is Vizimir II, I believe. So it makes sense. He's the son of the one that actually did all the work. And it's obvious that Dijkstra's older than Vizimir. So it probably makes sense that he's been in service. He was in service to his father before this and is now in service to this new king. But yeah, so he keeps him safe. And then to just continue your point here, Dijkstra tells him that they shouldn't be worrying so much about the elves. That's unimportant. What they should be worrying about is the fact that they could have never taken Cintra from Calanthe, but Calanthe doesn't have Cintra anymore because she's dead. So they could totally take it now. And that's what they should do, because Cintra is kind of like the shining jewel of the Northern Kingdoms. And whoever controls Cintra controls a really big amount of power in the Northern Kingdoms. So he's basically, Dijkstra's telling him this. And the king's, like, oh yeah, it's a great idea, because he's absolutely clueless and stupid.
No idea. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then he looks very pointedly at this owl. So there's an owl there. I'm not going to tell you anything. For anyone, if you know, you know. This is the episode of If You Know, You Know.
Right.
So,
and the owl from the beginning of the scene is given some very important camera time.
Yes, yeah, we see they make a point of showing us the owl. So if you know, you know. If you don't, we'll tell you about it later.
Yeah, the owl figures into the scene like a primary character.
So he gives a very pointed look to the owl, and then a different scene. We come back. He's drinking heavily. He's kind of having like what would assume is like a mental breakdown. So I guess this is his process.
Right.
This is what I'm going to refer to as his process, where he's kind of figuring out what's the best spy to implement in Sintra in order to take it. He goes through, he talks about a priest, and then he realizes, like priests are the worst. Not going to worry about that. He says a prostitute because Emir's surely got to like women or men, but then he says, but that's the problem. No one knows of his proclivities because literally no one knows anything about him. He's like an enigma amongst the northern kingdoms. No one knows anything about him, so they can't really figure it out. And then he looks to the owl and says, you have a point. That's a bold idea, but it's a smart one. And it's like, the owl didn't do anything, right? That's confusing.
Wait, what?
So he's talking to the owl. It's like, you could assume maybe he's like just bouncing ideas off. Some people talk better when they're able to bounce ideas off of something. Maybe he's just talking to the owl, pretending it's talking back.
Right.
Something.
Like you talk to your dog or your cat, or your horse, like your Geralt talking to your horse. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the plan is to send an elf into Sintra because it's going to be incredibly easy to get an elf into Sintra. But it has to be the right elf. We get a knock on a prison door, and we see that Dara is back.
Yeah.
Ciri's friend from season 1, the rat boy.
Yeah. Helps keep her alive.
He is back. He is sporting a sick afro.
Yes.
Which is very interesting appearance on an elf just because of the ears. They kind of like poke out of it. So he's back. He is going to be the spy to go into Sintra for Dijkstra. So that's cool. He's back. We see him later on the boat that Yennefer has gotten onto. And that's the part where I'm confused, because why I would have assumed this is all in Tredegor, then he just shows up in Oxenfurt, and it's like, okay.
They must have been in Oxenfurt for whatever reason the king was there, or for whatever reason Dijkstra was there. Maybe Dijkstra was there in order to send a spy off on a boat because it's a port city.
Yeah, maybe
that was, or maybe the two of them were there for some reason.
Yeah. So, but Dara's back, and that's cool that we get to see him again. And that's pretty much everything for the episode.
Yeah. So I've commented on some of the things I really liked on the episode as we kind of went through it. One of the things this is one of the first episodes where we see, and you mentioned some of the confusion about the location. We also see a little bit confusion about like where. Okay. So you have Yen and her buddy, what's his face? Cahir, showing up in Oxenfurt for however long it's been since they escaped where
Sodom.
they were at, right?
Sodom.
So,
because it was the memorial of Sodom where they escaped from,
which
they
is
were
like
back on Sodom Hill,
which is like 800 miles south of Oxenfurt. Right? Like they got on a horse and have traveled 800 miles north to Oxenfurt. Like why? Like why? And did I mean that would have taken weeks or months, is that really where, like, this is the first time we get a like Game of Thrones moment where it's like everyone just kind of, hops on the back of a dragon and just kind of flies across the continent, and then all of a sudden they're somewhere else kind of moment. And we don't have a sense of how much time has passed, but it doesn't seem like it's been that long. It seems like they've been on the run for a while, but it doesn't seem like months have gone by.
Yeah. Which, the other thing that's like curious about this, right? The other thing that's really curious here is the fact that Sintra is right next door to Sodom.
Right. Why go that far north, especially if Cahir is trying to get back south?
Yeah. So we actually, this is a cool little thing that was recently done this past week. There's some like researchers, I'm not entirely sure we're from. Let me see this caption here.
It was over in
The
Europe.
University of Warsaw.
Yeah.
Some cartographers from the University of Warsaw took all the information that we have and created this very like legit map of the continent.
It looks like a Google map of the
Yes.
continent, and it's scaled like a realistic map based off of all the other maps that we have, like the official maps from the books and even stuff from the games. And they've kind of took all the information they could and scaled it as realistically as possible. And you end up with something that's like spans like 1,000 miles by, 1,400 miles north and south. And like, it's gigantic. Like it's a very large swath of land. And Kaer Morhen is at the very top, like northeast side of the map. And, like take some time, look this up. I was thinking about doing a video of it on my YouTube channel, but look it up and then look at the scale on the map and look at the distances between things. And you'll start to realize
it's like 1,600 miles from the top of the map to the bottom.
Yeah, it's a long
from
way.
Nilfgaard to like the top of Kaidwen, Povis, Kovir, and stuff. Like it's,
I mean, you're talking a continent-sized place. Like this is the scale of like North America.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely weird. It's definitely weird. And like I said, they were right next door to Sintra from where they were before. So it doesn't exactly make sense for them to like
Go
all the way up
north
to Oxenfurt and then take a ship back down. So my only other thing that I would guess is that like it was the Memorial of Sodden, but they didn't have it in Sodden.
Right, because if that was my other thought was like
Temeria or Redania or something.
If they had all the other kings from the northern kingdoms gathered at a place, moving them that far south to Sodden wouldn't be very safe.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if this map tells us where Aretuza is.
And Aretuza is north of. It's off the coast, north of. You just said it.
Redania or Temeria?
No. Calanthes place. The Sintra. It's north of Sintra.
Okay.
It's off the coast. Like the coastline juts in, and Aretuza is off the coastline there. It's like west of Temeria.
Yeah, the Isle of Thaned.
Yes.
Okay, it's right there. Okay, so based on this map, it's like in Temeria, kind of like the coastal part of Temeria.
Right.
It's not that far from Oxenfurt. It's only like it's not even like it's probably like 100 miles maybe.
See, that's a lot closer.
Or less.
That's a lot closer.
60, 80, something like that.
See,
so a lot closer.
That would have made more sense, especially if what makes the most sense is that the kings chose some sort of central location and the mages all teleported there. Whatever that tower was, if that was in some sort of central location for the kings to all go to, and the mages all teleported. But then again, all the kings have their own mages anyway, so they could have teleported anywhere. So that tower, whatever tower that was that they were doing the beheading and the memorial or whatever that was, could have been anywhere. So maybe that's the case, and maybe it was near Oxenfurt, and maybe everything makes sense. But like this, it's just vague, right? If it was down in Sodden, then that's really weird. It would make more sense for them to be stuck in the north and be trying to move south.
Yeah. So I think it was somewhere in the north. It's a little odd, but I guess that's the explanation that it's going to have to be. Otherwise, it literally makes no sense at all. Right.
So it's not the biggest continuity error, but it's one of those just like, what's going on? Because it's just vague, right?
Very vague.
But other than that, I don't have any other major issues with the episode. In fact, I think that there's a lot of really good reveals. There's a lot of cool characters that show up. There's the representations of the characters tend to be pretty solid for the most part. You have the ASL representation with the elf who he doesn't talk.
Yeah, and he is. I looked it up. He is in fact a deaf actor, and so they actually had like a legitimately deaf actor in there and using like legitimate sign language. I saw some stuff where people kind of on the internet were like wondering like, why is he using sign language if the elf isn't deaf? And it's like, explanation there is that he's probably reading lips. Mm-hmm. A lot of deaf people can read lips fairly well, at least to try and understand people. I actually work with one at my workplace. So it's probably what he was doing. See what happened. I guess there's some weird things there where they're talking to him and they're kind of faced a little bit away. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if he's supposed to be deaf or not, but he definitely couldn't talk. So
right. Anything else you noticed in the episode you want to point out?
I just I think I appreciate one, getting like some connections between characters. Obviously we're all happy that Yaskir's back. We'll be a lot happier in a couple episodes when we see a certain scene. At least I will. I don't know. I don't know about the rest of y'all. It seemed like there's a fair bit of a response to that particular scene. If you know, you know.
You just keep saying that where he goes and cleans himself off in the lake.
I'm not going to tell y'all anything about. I'm giving people time to go watch the other episodes. Maybe they're watching along with us and they're not, going ahead. So I'm giving them time to go check things out.
Right. Right.
And then kind of the possibilities here of like, because I don't believe that this is never really the whole Elder Blood and Witcher mutations wasn't really a thing in the books. Like the reason that they didn't make any because they don't have the knowledge anymore. Like they don't know the formulas because the Witchers weren't the ones that made them. It was the mages who worked with the Witchers who did all the mutagens. The Witchers didn't actually know them. So when the mages disappeared, all that knowledge was lost, and that was the problem. So, but it seems like they're going along the lines of they just don't have the proper ingredients for that.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. And they've adjusted some of the things. And some people don't like some of the changes. Watching back through this again, some of these changes do make sense. The adjustment for the through lines, some of it is fairly well thought out. Like the idea of having Triss be somebody who understands nature magic, who's able to talk about these things come this season. Like that was thought about ahead of time in order to make this make sense in this season. There is a lot of forethought that went into these connections and the way they connected the stuff through. And I'm pretty sure they did a lot of that for a reason. And it's to create these through lines in a TV format where that works better for an audience to be able to follow things and connect them through. Otherwise, you end up with stuff that just happens. And I think that's probably, I think a lot of what's happening here is that they're fighting against, in some ways, let me back up. We're living in a post Game of Thrones world where the Game of Thrones series started out very tied to the books, so much so that they opened up so many side plots and they just couldn't finish any of those threads. Mm-hmm. There were so many threads that they couldn't wrap up. And it seems like what they've done with The Witcher is that they've tried to be very intentional about the number of threads that they've opened from the beginning so that all of those threads can wrap together through, like can continue to like wrap around each other in order to create one garment by the end of the series. And you may not like the garment it's making, but at least you can say it's making one garment. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to end, say, I don't know, 8 seasons in or 6 seasons in or however many they're going to go with this, depending on how long the later seasons get. Who knows? Maybe they'll need more time. I hope they take more time in order to plan things out more, but I doubt it. But you're not going to get something where it's like, oh, well, they introduced this whole theory or this character in season 2 that just like never went anywhere. Like, I don't have the feeling that they're going to do that. Like, they're only introducing as much as what they can actually like manage to juggle.
Yeah. And I think the only people that will probably have an issue with that are the ones that are like really sticklers for the book. Like, they really wanted to just like ride the same storyline as the book. I think a lot of people probably appreciate the bringing it all into one like kind of storyline, because it's kind of what they're doing is like, because I mean, obviously we heard from season 1, the people that had trouble following the timelines. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of them appreciated this season because now it's all the same timeline. It's just different fractured pieces of that timeline. And I'm sure a lot of those people still want it to be like together, like where everything comes together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they're going to do that. Like, and in order to do that, they've done things like, you know, jump distances in ways that just don't always make sense. But it's like, that's the thing they're willing to sacrifice rather than timeline skipping, or it's like they're trying to it's like they're deciding what things they're going to sacrifice. And in some ways they've decided to sacrifice some of the characters in order for the point of the story. And like we discussed on the previous episodes, like characters like, I'm losing words. Sorry, my brain is still mush from getting over this cold. Eskel, you know, like they basically destroyed Eskel's character. Did they need to? Probably not. You know, or like there's things that they still, you know, some of the things they do with Vesemir feel like Vesemir to me, and this is my opinion, but some of the things they do with Vesemir just don't really at the same time. It's like, would he really go along with like starting to give her the mushrooms and the stuff in order to move her along the Witcher process, especially when they don't even know anything about the Elder Blood yet or how to even do the mutagens? Why would they even start her along the process? And he would be the one to okay that. Wouldn't he be more careful about that than anybody?
That is something that does go in the books. Like, they do that in the books. So he does okay it. So that's not, that's a part that's actually true to the books.
That seems so weird. Yeah.
So there's and I guess we're going to end off the episode with a couple fun facts here.
Yeah.
The first fun fact
teach me about that because I don't know that part.
So it's an interesting thing here. Because it's still only like it's calculations and stuff. So we know that about every 3 in 10 candidates actually pass like the trial of the grasses. So like as far as like getting Witchers out of like the trials, very rare. And just something about the mutagens just doesn't work for girls or females. Like, it just doesn't take the same way, and they pretty much always die. But there's also this kind of belief that if you get a child of surprise, that you don't need to subject them to the mutagens to make them a Witcher. It's kind of a very weird belief that they have, where like a child of surprise is so like, I guess, influenced by destiny that they don't need the mutagens, which of course they can't make them right now. So it's not really a thing. And I don't know how much they're going to actually go along with this. But this is kind of the explanation that happens in the books, because they give her like the mushrooms and herbs because they're supposed to make her stronger. Like, they're supposed to, I guess, change her physique enough to where she's stronger, more stamina a little bit. Like and they're trying to see if her body processes the early herbs and mushrooms, you know, to see if there was a chance at having her subjected to mutagens, would it work? Like, would it work? And
right. Okay.
And to be fair, in the series storyline, she doesn't actually end up needing the mutagens to become a Witcher, like not in the sense like how they are with, you know, how the way the mutagens affected them, but just because of who she is.
Right. Right.
So it's, at least in The Witcher 3, it's obviously she's even better than a Witcher, I would say, because she can just
right.
teleport. So it's a very like weird belief. There's a lot of weird beliefs that go along with like the Witchers that they have for certain things. So it's interesting. I don't know how much they're going to go into that exactly. But we'll see.
Okay.
I guess we'll see.
Well, that just, thanks. That does change my perspective a little bit.
Yeah. And, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I'm just still trying to reconcile some of my understanding. And this comes from, not finishing reading all the books yet. So I don't, like I'm not all the way through. So, my perspective on that is limited.
Yeah. And, I know some people are going to get all crazy in the comments about things, because they'll be like, wait, isn't Geralt a child of surprise? Fun fact, he's not. They actually tell you, he actually makes a story about how he talks about how he was a child of surprise, but he's not, because his story doesn't match up with the actual story of Geralt, because he gets dropped off at Kaer Morhen when he's a kid. It's not like, at no point did anyone make or invoke the law of surprise for Geralt. He just got dropped off. He was just an orphan, and his mom was just like, here's a child, do Witcher shit to him. Yeah. He didn't actually he wasn't actually a result of the law of surprise. So it's interesting. And the other little fun fact that I wanted to do was just a little bit of fun fact about Fanewood, the flower that we've seen. It is, according to legend, grows only in places where elder blood has been spilt. We figured that part out. And also in Dol Blathanna, the Valley of the Flowers, because that is like the sacred place to the elves. So I guess the influence of the elder blood is still there. And it's actually Elder Speech, the name of it. If anyone picked up on that, it's definitely got that kind of ring to it, and it translates to Sunchild. That's the name of the flower. Sunchild, or Child of the Sun.
Child of the Sun.
Mm-hmm. And the elves say that these flowers first appeared when Lara Dorren died. A little bit of fun fact there for you.
It seems like important stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty important stuff.
Oh, interesting. Cool stuff. All right. Well, we got to rate the episode.
That's true. We do.
Let's rate it out of 10 singing cats.
10 singing cats. All right. I'll go first this time. I made you go first the last couple of times. Give it like 7.5.
Wait, the reason we went to 10 is so we don't have to do 0.5s.
No, the reason we went to 10 is because this season's better than season 1. It just didn't work on 5. Fine. Overall, I'll give it an 8. I think it was a really good episode.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 too, because I liked some of the character stuff in it. I really like Dijkstra. I really like getting Jaskier back. I like the relationship stuff between Yen and Jaskier, and Yen and Cahir, and Dijkstra,
and Ciri and Triss was a good part
and
too.
Triss, and like
Dijkstra.
A lot of the like relationship stuff in it, like the interplay between the characters is really good,
and the vulnerability that the characters have with each other in this one, I think, is because every character was vulnerable in this episode. I would say every major character, like Triss was very vulnerable with Geralt. Geralt's just been vulnerable for a while because of the Yennefer situation. Ciri was vulnerable with trying to embrace her feminine side a bit more. And then, of course, Yen and Jaskier, they both with each other. There also point out, because I didn't point out before, there was also weird sexual tension between them two too, because this episode was like, we're going to throw a bunch of sexual tension and make you question yourselves. Nothing's going to come of it, but we're going to make you question yourselves.
Yeah, there was weird sexual tension between Dijkstra and the owl. There was between Vizimir and Dijkstra. between.
I mean, to be fair, the sexual tension between Dijkstra and the owl is actually merited. For anyone who gets to this part of the episode who still doesn't know what's going on, I'm sorry for the conclusion of bestiality that you must be coming to right now.
Oh no,
that is not the case.
No,
but we'll get into that, I guess, on episode 8 because we don't find out the specifics until episode 8.
Oh no.
Yep. So have fun thinking Dijkstra's.
Don't picture things about owls. Don't go that far.
Don't do it.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up the episode. 2 8s. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode and the rest of the season. And just a last reminder, early patron episode this coming week, Sunday, 7:30 Eastern PM. 7:30 p.m. Not in the morning. We will not be doing it at 7:30 in the morning. 4:30
for me. That'd be miserable.
Yeah, 4:30 Pacific on Sunday, and we'll see you guys then. But everyone, thank you for tuning in. Toasty, you got anything cool you want to share? Anything going on?
Just follow us on the Witcher Lorecast on Twitter.
Cool.
I saw a cool TikTok earlier today that popped up on my For You page from the woman who made the footprints in the first episode of season 2.
What?
She was talking about like when you remember that time you had to take off your shoes in front of Henry Cavill, and it was just showing her making the footprints in the snow for that filming of the episode. It's just a funny thing that popped up on my For You page.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, that's about it. I ain't got really anything going on. Reminder again that, you know, he said early patron episode, and there will not be a live show the following week. It'll just be released on the audio platforms.
That's right. That's right. Also, you know where to go to find all the different shows on the network, robotsradio.net. So if you're looking for other shows, go check that out. Also, all sorts of awesome stuff, including other lorecasts for other awesome games and, you know, stuff
also,
you can check out.
I guess there's talks about putting the Witcher mod on the Minecraft server that Tom recently opened. So if you want to come train at the School of the Robots
okay,
in
so
Minecraft.
Well, I'll just address this real quickly. So the Robots Radio community is awesome. You guys are awesome. This community is super, super great. Lots of really friendly people. The nicest corner of the internet. And so many of us hang out on the Robots Radio Discord, which I talk about all the time. And I've been wanting to have kind of a place where we can all just kind of have, I don't know, a game to play together that's kind of a persistent world. So I polled the community, threw some game options up there, and Minecraft got the most votes. So I was like, screw it. I'll go ahead and pay for a Discord. I'll pay for a server, a Minecraft server. So I started one last night. I've got a Minecraft server up and running. The information is on the Discord. There's a channel called Minecraft. Right at the top, it's the newest version. It's the most recent version of Minecraft. It's 100% updated. It's got some plugins I've already loaded in there. I'm going to be adding all sorts of fun stuff. There's a bunch of people in the community who have already loaded into the server. It even has a plugin for like giving you XP and upgrades as you continue to do stuff, and it even has like an anti trolling each other kind of thing where you can't steal each other's crap, and it's going to be freaking awesome. But right before the show started, we were talking about this. We were joking with the live chat, and I was like, I wonder if they have like a Witcher mod. Sure enough, there's a Witcher mod, so that might end up being part of the server. I need to do a little bit more research and see if it's something I can add into the server. But there might be a portal to a Witcher world on the server where you can go hunt monsters and stuff. So, but even if that's not a thing, we would love to have you come join us on the Minecraft server. So just log on to the Discord. It's semi-private right now. It's not something you can just search. So you just need to log into the Robots Radio Discord. You can just search that. You can go to the robotsradio.net. There's a link on the top of the page there, or look in the show notes. There's links everywhere, and just look for the Minecraft channel on the server, and it's the pinned post, or just scroll to the top. But chances are you want to click the little pin, and you'll see the info for how to connect to the server. And you can just come join us. Just say hi. And you can even use the Discord for voice chat. There's a whole channel in there for people who want to chat with each other while playing. So you're welcome to come join us. It's gonna be a fun time. But that's what we got for this week. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time during the patron chat. And until then, Toasty,
stay safe on the path.
All right, everybody. See you later. Thanks for tuning in to the Witcher Lorecast. We'd love to hear about your experiences with the games and the books and the TV series and all your thoughts on everything. Please check out the Robots Radio Discord and follow us on Twitter at Witcher Lorecast.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.